affordable drug pricing became a national talking point this year when Mylan's EpiPen pricing hiked 400% during the summer. It's been a big issue in terms of the election as well. So what will the pharmaceutical industry look like under President-elect Trump's administration? Joining us right now is the chairman and CEO of Allergan, Brent Saunders. Brent, good to see you.
Oh, thanks for having me, Maria.
Thank you so much for joining us. And I know recently you wrote an article in Forbes magazine and you talked about these very concerns, that you are doing a contract with patients, that you understand the issue of high-priced drugs. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I've always believed that the pharmaceutical industry is really comprised of people who are trying to do good things for patients, right? We're trying to solve for unmet medical need. We're trying to come up with cures and treatments for disease. This pricing issue has really angered many of Americans, understandably so. And so what we've done at Allergan is said, look, we have to make enough money to invest in future innovations. We need to look for cures and treatments. But we don't have to engage in these pricing practices that have caused so much anger. And so we are committed to really limiting our net price increases to mid-single digit, or roughly right around the inflation rate.
But how do you do that? Because when we heard from the CEO of Mylan Labs, she said that there's all these middlemen and that it wasn't Mylan's fault that they had to raise the EpiPen 400%, because there's all these people in the middle that have to take some money out of it. Do you not see that?
Well, there are, and that is an issue. But look, I'm the CEO of Allergan. I'm not a CEO of a PBM or a health insurer. And so I have to decide, what does Allergan stand for and what can we solve within our control? Once I've done that, then I can start talking about the other pieces of the healthcare system that perhaps need some fixes. And there are some. I think everyone's accountable in the system to look for ways to make medicines more affordable and accessible. But what we can't do is allow a government takeover of healthcare innovation, because if that happens, then I really worry that we won't find the cures and treatments that patients need in the future.
Meanwhile, today is the deadline for enrolling in Obamacare. Let's talk about that for a moment. Skyrocketing premiums are forcing taxpayers to fork over $9.8 billion, additional $9.8 billion, because of these rising subsidies. According to a new report from the Center for Health and Economy, we're going to see much higher prices going into 2017. What's your take on this?
Yeah, so what's happened, right, is premiums have gone up, so the subsidies naturally have to go up to cover the higher premiums. And look, the net result is healthy people aren't enrolling in the Affordable Care Act. Sick people are. And so sick people, it's a risk pool, right? And so if sick people are the only people enrolling, it's more expensive coverage, therefore more expensive premiums, therefore more taxpayer subsidies. And so I think as the new administration comes in and thinks about repeal and replace, there's some structural elements here that perhaps need to be looked at. And there's some great examples of ideas like what Vice President-elect Mike Pence has done in Indiana and Medicaid, where there's more individual accountability. There's health savings account components of the expansion of Medicaid that may be good ideas to think about. How do we contain cost, and how do we get patients to have more skin in the game when they think about their own health care?
So what's your stance on that then? What is most important in terms of replacing Obamacare? What do you want to see the replacement to look like?
Yeah, I think it has to be a market-based solution. I think we need to do it, or the government needs to do it very carefully, right? We just don't want to drop 20 million Americans back into the uncovered status. But I also think we need to have some experimentation and testing and allow the states to have some flexibility to do that, whether that be through block grants or not. But I think ultimately the most important thing that we can do, which we know Governor Mike Pence, or Vice President-elect Mike Pence, we know that Tom Price, the incoming HHS Secretary, advocate for, is health savings accounts, more patient accountability, and more control by physicians to do preventative care and the like. At the end of the day, we have to get the incentives in the right place. We need incentives to find cures versus treatments. Patients need incentives to be healthier. Insurance companies need the appropriate incentives to do preventative care versus emergency room care. And so if we can get the incentives better aligned, I think we can have better outcomes and better spend of the money.
Let me get your take on the pharmaceutical industry in general, under a Trump presidency. Allergan really has had a front row seat to all the movement that we've been seeing with the political environment. So earlier this year, during the presidential election, Hillary Clinton made comments that, you know, she may want to cap prices should she become the president. Your stock plummeted. The whole industry stock plummeted. That was a rough situation for the industry. And then, of course, you were going to merge your company with Pfizer. The Obama administration said, no, you're not going to move to Ireland to get a better tax rate. So that deal went away. So here you have a new administration and the effort to take corporate taxes down to 15%. How does that impact what you do?
Yeah, so I think we are on the verge of a huge new growth cycle or golden era for biopharmaceutical companies. I think we finally have a government that appears to be pro-growth, pro-innovation, low regulation, and that's great for the biopharmaceutical industry that has really had a tough time in the last 8 years with a government that has done everything possible to slow us down or prevent us from being successful. So we need, as an industry, to really make sure that we take advantage of it. And we have some great things coming, like the 21st Century Cures Act, which was just signed by President Obama. We have a voice, perhaps, in the repeal and replace of Obamacare. We have a physician coming into the HHS secretary position that really believes in physician empowerment and free markets and health savings accounts. And those are all good for us. But ultimately, we need to solve the paradigm shift of this industry from treatments to cures. And when companies do cures, like we saw in hepatitis C, they get a lot of negative PR because of the price of a cure and who actually pays for a cure. The health insurance system is designed to do very small payments for chronic care. They'd rather pay $5 a day for chronic care for a patient for the rest of their life than just fix the disease, which is pretty expensive. And so we need an incentive change.
And you're working on a lot of that, whether it be your core business right now and the products that you have in the pipeline that may hit the market in 2020. You're also looking at Alzheimer's symptoms. Right. So where does the growth come from at Allergan, say, the next 4 to 5 years? Is it organic growth? Is doing a big deal now off the table?
Doing a big deal has been off the table. We do have a very strong, diversified and durable portfolio of products. We have a very big cash pay business as a leader in medical aesthetics, drugs like Botox and fillers like Juvederm. We have about 80% of our business in therapeutic medicines like Alzheimer's, like depression, GI, IBS-C, IBS-D for stomach conditions, a big women's health franchise, and infectious disease. So we have a lot of durability and diversification, but we also have a lot of young drugs. We'll be launching 8 new drugs next year. We have 6 or 7 phase 3 programs that are all blockbusters in 2017 that really could be game-changing for diseases like depression or migraine or AMD of the eye. So we're in a really strong position. We're very excited about our future.
So it sounds like organic growth and maybe growth. Small tuck-in deals.
Right, and you know, some of the tuck-ins we're doing are science-based. We bought a company this year for gene therapy for blindness, and really the science is exploding. So if we got a pro-growth government and we got great science, that's a formula for a really strong biopharmaceutical industry.
Sounds optimistic. Brent, good to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Brent.